Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Sunday Vibes. We are, of course, in the pub, but a slightly different lineup. Joe Tomlinson is on holiday. Christopher Hamill is making TikTok. So, of course, myself have come in, and Doogie Critchley, Patrick Van Straten is always here as ever. Doogie, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm very excited. I'm going to the land of the Irish tomorrow. I'm going to Dublin.
The land of the Irish.
The land of the Irish. I'm going to Dublin. It's my first time in Dublin. Very excited for it.
Quite expensive, Dublin.
Yes,
Won't
have
lie,
brought
I've
my
been
wallet.
there.
Will be bringing my wallet. And ready for it. Guinness Factory.
Nice.
Doing a little day trip outside of Dublin. I'm very excited.
I've had a good time out in Dublin. How are you, Pat? What's coming up for you recently?
Absolutely nothing. Actually, we've just booked a holiday to Florence for the summer, but this is many months away, so nothing to look forward to. My baby's got a chest infection. It's but yeah, that's what's going on with me. What's happening with you, Zach? Because I know that you're running around the world at the moment.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad I'm here. You know, something different. I've just felt a bit like Groundhog Day the past couple of days, won't lie. Just sitting indoors, I felt like I was living the same life over and over again. So I'm glad for a change of scenery. And I'll tell you what else is here again. Manscaped, they're back, ladies and gentlemen. They're back with the 4th generation performance package that has just launched for you guys at home. It includes the Lawnmower 4.0, the leaders in male grooming, and they have done it again, guys. February the 14th, lads. It's coming up, 14th, Valentine's Day. What are you guys doing?
I'll be in Dublin. But I will be making sure that I'm groomed beforehand with my Lawnmower 4.0. Which, I've really enjoyed the Manscaped products that I've been sent so far. I take the little wash bag with me to Ireland as well. And ready for a Valentine's Day surprise.
I'll tell you what they are amazing for.
This is the hairiest lineup, actually.
Oh, it is.
The three of us in the club in behind the camera.
The winner,
This is a lethally hairy lineup.
It is.
Whereas Chris is a hairless boy.
Oh, well, not recently. I'll tell you what, because I've been using Manscaped. I'm quite short on the old hair, though. You know what's amazing? They don't clip you. They don't cut you. That's the best bit for me.
Isn't it like ceramic blades or something? Yeah. But also, I know they've got the ball deodorant and stuff like this, which I'm assuming Doogie is just like spritzing on
all
like
over. Big time.
Every single part of his body.
Everything.
He treats.
But
like
if they could introduce something for chest hair, that'd be great as well. Actually, maybe I could make some little designs in there because at the moment it's just a matted mess.
Constructive criticism there. But they also get boxers. I know you get boxers in the packet, and I've got to say, when I came in one time, we were talking about Manscaped, and someone was like, "Do you want to take the boxers home?" And they are genuinely so good. They're so comfortable. And also, I find that boxers, like, if you work out, you just go through boxers like nobody's business. Like, it's just a nightmare. If you're doing lunges in them or whatever, like, you're just buying new boxers every few months. And the Manscaped boxers, I've got to say, they are holding up to the pressure.
The heat.
Very nicely. They can stand the heat.
I love it. Well, you guys at home can also get the Performance Package 4.0, which comes with the Weed Whacker for, your nose hairs or ear hair issues.
Very necessary.
If you guys use the code FootballDaily20, you'll get 20% off, plus free shipping with the code again, FootballDaily20. So make sure you guys do that. There'll be a link in the description below. Okay then, lads, on to the football now. And we had a question come from @Tilla TZ, and they've said, how worrying are certain stars' performances, i.e. Sancho, Lukaku, etc.? Could some be going in the summer? And so we thought we'd kind of develop on this as well. We'll talk about that. And also, should these guys be dropped from their sides? Now, he mentions here Jaden Sancho. I think that's probably a little bit harsh. I think recently he's actually he's starting to get there slowly but surely. We're starting to see the better side of Jaden Sancho.
It is slow though. It is slow because I talked to Joe a bit about this, like when I was thinking about this script, and he was like, "Oh, Sancho's been one of our better players the last few weeks," and I was like, "Great, like I'm glad." Well, not great. Obviously, I want Man United to be, but like I like Jaden Sancho. But his expected goal and assist numbers are still very, very low, and they're only gradually ticking up. Now, I mean, he's too talented and too young for that not to improve, but I don't know. I mean, there's definitely still work to be done there, and whoever comes in after Rangnick is, I think, they're going to have to create a system, in my mind, to maximise Bruno and Sancho. Those are the two guys they've got to work on. And right now, though Sancho may be playing his way into form, he's not in form yet, would be my argument.
Okay, well, I think that's fair enough. And I think over the next couple of years, Jaden Sancho is very much a long-term future. They're not going to be dropping him anytime soon. The one guy they may be dropping, though, could be Cristiano Ronaldo. In fact, Rangnick has done it several times already. Do you think that's the right decision, do you?
Well, he's not too happy with it, is he, Ronaldo? Understandably.
I love it.
In a way, because he probably didn't see this happening when he returned to Man United and there's so much fanfare. Everyone wrongly thought they were going to be challenging for the title. And, with a few of the signings this summer, we were expecting maybe more of an impact. I think we'll come on to a player at Chelsea who probably hasn't had the impact. Maybe Man City were expecting slightly more from Grealish as well. It wasn't a fantastic summer of instant impact signings, at least at that top bracket. And I think Ronaldo, since he's been out of the team, United have actually performed a fair bit better, I would say. And that's not a personal vendetta against Ronaldo. He's a legend of the game, absolute superstar. But the amount of attention that he draws on the team and the way of working around him, because he is just a penalty box predator these days, and it hasn't been as fluid with him in the side as with Cavani, or Rashford has looked better since he's not been in the side as well. And we saw Sancho for the first time, as we were talking about on, was it Tuesday night against Burnley, on the left-hand side as well, and he looked much more energetic there. Shaw looked like it was improving as well. So I think the signs are there for United. But Ronaldo, I just don't think his numbers sort of compensate for how it affects the team. And that's not saying that he's not a great player. It just hasn't really worked as we were expecting. But I know, Pat, you did a bit more digging into those sort of numbers and how it's sort of affecting the side.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, first of all, it's worth noting that I think the team is starting to play the Rangnick way. I mean, before Rangnick came in, they, I think, were 16th in the league for expected goals against, so the defence was not working at all. They weren't pressing a great deal. I think they were 13th in the league for passes per defensive action, so that's how often you're trying to break up opposition possession, basically. And over the last, so they've gone from kind of breaking up opposition play about every 13 passes to every 10 on average under Rangnick. But in the last couple of games, every 7. And that's the kind of number that would put you top or close to the top of the league over the course of a season. So they are starting to get there. We're seeing a little bit more energy in their play. And I think, their first half against Burnley the other day, that was a real, they can't sustain it over the full game, but you think, okay, this is what this team looks like. This is what a coherent pressing Man United is going to look like. Now, if you look at their last 2 games, obviously they've drawn with Burnley, they drew to Middlesbrough and ended up going out on penalties in the FA Cup. But in those games, they put up 5.8 expected goals. Even with extra time, that's a lot. They outshot their opponents, I think it was 52 to 15.
Bruno missed an absolute sitter as well.
Exactly.
Ronaldo missed a penalty.
Exactly. And more importantly, the process is there.
Yeah.
You're creating loads more chances than your opponents. You're going to beat your opponents more often than not. And both those games came with Ronaldo not starting.
Okay.
And I do think that when you watch the side, the intensity is obvious to see. Ronaldo's in the bottom 1% of forwards for pressures. He's in the bottom 4% for defensive actions. Now, that doesn't mean you never use him. He's still putting up, I think, close to 0.6 expected goals a game. But that's actually about the same as Cavani since Rangnick came in. It's about the same as Bruno since Rangnick came in. It's the same as Rashford since Rangnick came in. So it's not like he's doing enough that you'd say, you know what, we're just going to eat this. And yes, we have to ask more of players to compensate for him, but it's worth it because he's a superstar. He's not like Harry Kane, who you might do that with. So I do think they have to think about how they're going to use him, because the Premier League, of all leagues really, is incredibly unforgiving to players like this who are no longer mobile, incredibly unforgiving to teams who have a big hole in their press like this. And so I don't know, I actually think that we might see more of United without Ronaldo, and I think that's probably a good thing.
But if you're paying someone plus 400k a week to sit on the bench, and then it's fine now. If it happens again for the next 2 games in a row, the media start getting involved. It's why are you paying this guy so much money? Why did Ronaldo come back? Then there's rumours about his agent already thinking about trying to call other clubs. That's been rumoured many a times. PSG links. There's even been rumours that he's asked his agent to talk to Florentino Perez about a return to the Bernabeu. Then might be Sporting after that with the way Ronaldo's going. There are some issues I think that could arise from it. But if the team are playing better, and overall the objective for Manchester United is to get into the top 4, to get back into the Champions League next year, then surely you do maybe make the right decision for the team. But it would be interesting in, say, 5 weeks' time, if he's been dropped 4 out of those 5 times, how the media will take it. There's another guy I want to talk about at Manchester United, Harry Maguire.
Okay.
Because he is struggling in this Harry Maguire, I think, is a fine centre-back. And if you're playing 5 at the back and what you ask him to do is kind of like it was with England, he's great. He can be the guy that makes a huge difference, like he was for England during the Euros. But in Manchester United, or at Manchester United, when you're playing 4 at the back and you're asking a lot more from these guys, when Varane as well recently has really stepped up performances, he's looking very, very good. Harry Maguire is struggling. Are you
Sure.
dropping Harry Maguire for Lindelof or Bailly? I mean, Bailly's
I
normally
think for
injured,
the
to be
next
quite
few
honest.
games, I think take him out of the firing line because he is actually, his performances have got to the stage where, I mean, no one thinks he's a bad centre-back, at least at Football Daily. I mean, you tend to see that opinion on Twitter. That's where it's suited to.
George 100%.
Maybe with George, but
100%.
it's a rubbish opinion. Harry Maguire is a very talented centre-back. He's clearly in the best 8 in the league, comfortably.
Whoa.
I would probably argue. On his day. This year, he's not been anywhere near that level, and every part of his game has taken a drop off. But there is a certain pressure on him, particularly when Varane's out, to build up play. That attack down the left-hand side, that's where all United's attacks still go, despite the changes they've made at right back and right wing this year. And Maguire's positional play, his awareness, his ability to even win ground duels, etc., everything just seems massively affected. And some of his decision-making as well as letting his side down. And I think it's just getting to the stage where, for his own sake and the team's now, I know he's your captain, but just drop him for a few games. I don't think Lindelof can do a lot worse, especially with Varane alongside him. I saw the other day that United's goals against per game goes from 1.2 to 0.8 when Varane's playing or not playing, basically. But a final point on United's forwards, which I just think is worth bringing up, is that the situation in the last few weeks has sort of complicated and simplified their forward line. And what I mean by that is Ronaldo doesn't seem very happy, might leave. Martial looks like he's going to leave. The Greenwood situation, we're not going to go into that, but that is a massive issue for them going forward as well. So actually, their forward options, which seem so plentiful at the start of the season, next year you're like, do United need to sign another striker?
Yeah, I think they do.
Like
Cavani looks like he's going.
Martial's going to leave. Ronaldo's going to leave. Greenwood, who knows? Like
Rashford's better off
You know,
the
that's
wing.
why the Harry Kane rumours this morning, which, you know, paper talk probably, but if Mauricio Pochettino goes to Man United, and United wanted to spend this summer trying to get into that midfielder and trying to build their project for the future, and now we're looking at again that United are going round again for another forward. So I think, you know, United have some issues all over the park that aren't just going to be solved by one defensive midfielder going in this summer, because that's asking a lot on one player as well. Even Declan Rice, I think, would struggle in this United team across this season. So there's issues across the team is my basic point.
It is very interesting. Yeah, again, one point I will take, though, if you are Rangnick and you then drop your captain and Harry Maguire and Cristiano Ronaldo, who's I think probably the vice captain, or he takes up that role, you're dropping two very big kind of leaders per se within the squad, and guys that would maybe have quite big voices within the dressing room. I mean, after that, who's captain then? De Gea?
Yeah, maybe De Gea.
Who has been exceptional, has to be
probably
said.
would
Bruno,
probably be
yeah,
captain.
Bruno's a good shout. But I mean, that is an issue for Rangnick to deal with.
But that's not really a problem for him. I mean, like, the great thing about Rangnick is he does not care. Like, they've needed that for a long time. Somebody who was going to say, no, actually, I'm just going to bench whoever I want. And actually, Ronaldo's needed that for a long time. Probably somebody who would say to him, you're not going to start 2 games a week. Like, we're not going to see the best of you if we do that. And so I think that having... I think Rangnick potentially can get this issue out of the way so the next manager doesn't have to deal with it.
Okay.
He could say to Ronaldo, look, if you're going to stay here past this summer, you are not going to play every minute. Like, it is as simple as that. And have that argument so when Pochettino or somebody comes in the summer, they have an easier sell.
Yeah.
He can talk to Maguire and say, look, you know, you're being kind of like scapegoated for everything that's going on with us at the moment. And to be honest, if they'd managed to put away their chances against Burnley and against Middlesbrough, we wouldn't be talking about it to anything like the same extent. So I do feel a bit sorry for Maguire in that regard, and I do think having a defensive midfielder there or a better defensive left back, because both their left backs are not really very good defensively, I think that would help him too. But I don't know, man. Like the Harry Maguire thing, I still maintain with Harry Maguire that it's just always because he looks silly. And it's easy to take the piss out of silly-looking players.
Yeah, and he also turns very badly. He's
quick,
agile. Yeah, his speed and his agility is very, very poor. Okay, then let's move on to. He mentioned him in the tweet, Lukaku.
I mean, you might as well take this away, Zach. How are you feeling about it?
It's rough with Lukaku because I remember.
So much.
Of course, it's a great story from Lukaku, right? It's the guy that came to Chelsea as a boy and he loved it. There's that video of him when he came with Anderlecht and it didn't quite work out. And then he came back again, you know, £100 million, and he was going to be the guy that took Chelsea to that next level. They just won the Champions League. They needed that elite goal scorer. And that's what he'd been. He was an elite goal scorer at Inter Milan. There's no doubt about it. He'd helped them win Serie A. It felt like the perfect time. And it started off okay. He played against Arsenal. He performed really well. Then then he kind of got injured.
Not the hardest job in the world.
Got COVID, then the interview, etc., etc. Didn't help himself with that. And it's tough because I think when we bought Lukaku, he looked... he was a very, not necessarily different striker to when he left the Premier League, but he was much, much improved in what he was doing. He was one of the best in the world at what he was doing. And we've brought him in at Chelsea, and he's not being able to do what he was doing at Inter Milan. We've brought him in to essentially be a target man. Kind of like we were, and if we were going to do that, we might as well kept Olivier Giroud, who was doing a pretty fine job of that under Tuchel and Lampard. Whereas with Lukaku, like, he can pin the defender and he can play with his back to goal, but that really isn't what we've seen him do at Inter Milan. He's much, much better running onto balls, going in behind, and playing that way. He's very quick on the ball as well. Feels like I never see him have that chance at Chelsea. The way he plays for Chelsea seems to always be with his back towards the defender, give it into him, test his touch, which recently has not been that great, and play him on. And his confidence looks shot to bits. Even when I was watching him on Wednesday in the not the Carabao Cup, the Club World Cup, like, he basically got given a goal when we won 1-0, and hopefully that is what maybe kind of gets him back with at least some confidence. And maybe in the final against Palmeiras, that would have happened the day before this video goes out, but we've not seen it yet because it happens on Saturday. That'll help him out. But it's tough because for Chelsea as a team, I think it's better at the moment when Kai Havertz is playing in there. I think he links up with everyone better. And whether it's just because
that massive victory against Norwich came with Havertz up front.
Exactly, and that was like just after Lukaku was injured.
So fluid with him there.
But it's almost as if Kai Havertz isn't a target man. Like he can, if you needed him once in a blue moon to hold the ball up, sure. But that's not the way he will play his football. So the Chelsea players know that obviously we're not going to try and play that style. When with Lukaku, I think it's, I don't know, like, I'm not the manager. Of course, I feel like if I just say that, the players think he's a target man, that's stupid, because it's not, of course not. But when he's playing there, it seems like that's the way we want to play with him. And I just don't think it works out. I don't think it works out that way. And my worry is if you drop Lukaku and Kai Havertz comes in, because that's the thing with like Kai's also not playing that much at the moment. And so maybe you get the best out of him, but then you've got a £100 million man sitting on the bench, who's your highest earner, sitting on the bench. And so you got two things where you either kind of upset Havertz, who's not playing that much, or you upset Lukaku, who you've spent a lot of money on. And Chelsea don't really ever kind of like to upset their big money players. So it's a tough one. Maybe like in the Club World Cup, you play both of them, which we did. We played Havertz and Lukaku. I mean, what do you guys think about Lukaku? I
think the
struggle.
Tuchel and Conte's sort of philosophy is quite different. Yeah. And I think Conte is a defence-first manager. They were hitting on the break a lot of times. Like Lukaku running into space down that right-hand channel as he's running down the right-hand side, cutting on his left. That's where he's at his best. Lautaro Martinez did a lot of stretching play for him. It was a great relationship. I'm getting to the point where I think Chelsea should change formation.
Well, we are playing a bit of a 4-1-4-1 recently, where Ziyech plays out on the wide right.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind you changing to sort of a 4-2-2-2 or a 4-4-2 variation, because I actually think, fully fit, it would suit your squad quite well. You do need Chilwell fit at left back, so I don't think Marcus Alonso is going to at left back. But Reece James on the right, Rudiger and Thiago Silva, I think could work in a two at the back. Because at the moment, you're playing an extra defender but conceding more goals than Man City. Yeah. And you're not getting enough out of your superstar attackers. And I think the only player it wouldn't probably suit is Mason Mount, and you'd probably have to play him wide on the left. But then if you played Havertz and Lukaku up front, or Werner up front, in the system that he was used to in Germany as well, I think you'll get more out of Werner, I think you'll get more out of Lukaku. And you just need to see, practically, you're conceding more goals than City, you're not scoring nearly as much as them. Like, how are you going to close that gap? And it's getting more out of your attackers. And I think it's worth rolling the dice, because your defence, you've got to kind of risk it.
I think your big issue there is, you said it, is we haven't got Chilwell. Like, Chilwell being out for the rest of the season.
Also, Jorginho wouldn't really work.
Yeah, I don't think Jorginho would be too...
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Problem solved.
Yeah, true. I think Chilwell... The issue that happened was Chilwell got injured, and then 2 weeks later, Reece James got injured as well at the same time. Yeah. And then we lost all of our creativity that was coming through his flanks. Reece James is coming back. I think he's set to return after this Club World Cup, so hopefully that might help a little bit on that side of things. But I would also say I tend to agree. But the issue is that we didn't go and buy a Digne. We didn't go and buy someone in the summer for whatever reason. And so our backups at the moment for the rest of this season is Alonso, and Kennedy. And I don't know whether that's going to quite work in a 4-2-2.
Maybe you could play Aspie at left back. I mean, it's a bit of a risk, but he has played there before.
So possibly, yeah, it's definitely a shout.
He'll get more out of Ziyech, he'll get more out of Havertz, Lukaku, or has the potential to. At least try it. And you played it against Spurs in the Carabao Cup, and I actually thought a variation of that at least. And I thought it looked much better. And Ziyech looked, like he was enjoying football again. So I think it's worth a risk.
Yeah, I think Duke's is absolutely right. They're in a situation where they've kind of got nothing to lose. Like, I mean, they're not going to win the league. They're not. So what they should try and do is work out how they can maximise performance next season and have a really good shot at the Champions League. And it may well be that they need to flex between formations or just try something different. I think Lukaku... I kind of disagree with your point about Conte, because I actually think that last season, into a really blitzing teams, they were actually quite open defensively at times, but they were attacking so quickly. I agree with that part of it. Whereas Chelsea...
Oh, we're slow.
You're so slow.
Because also, as well...
You really grind up the pitch.
We don't have that many quick players. Our quick players are Reece James, Timo Werner... Pulisic. Hudson-Odoi too. But Pulisic, I've not seen him be quick since that hamstring injury against Arsenal. And so when we're not playing Reece James, who's been injured, and when you're not playing Timo Werner anyway, who's on the bench, you're relying your pace to be Lukaku and Ziyech. And Mount's not the quickest of players.
No, but you don't. Players don't have to be like the fastest player in the world to be
I get that.
Relatively fast. So like... is Kovacic one of the fastest players in the Premier League? No. Is he fast relative to most central midfielders? I would say yes. You do see him burst away from people. And when you see Chelsea get a chance on the break, oh my God, it's amazing. Suddenly you're just like, oh, this is so exciting. Like, you see this team flood forward. But in a way, Tuchel has always built great attacks. And I think that his issues with attack so far have been kind of similar to Timo Werner's. Like, Timo Werner played in the Bundesliga, much faster league than the Premier League, despite what pundits say. Like, it's a league that's got loads of turnovers. That's like, it's like a basketball game, really isn't it? You're like back and forth. And Tuchel also really thrived in that. Like, was really good at building a team to make the most of those chances. With Dembele and with Aubameyang and with Pulisic, like they were incredibly good at building attacks really quickly and intricately, but on the break. In the Premier League, when I watch Chelsea, it is like watching sandpaper. Like you're really just like grinding up the pitch and seeing if there's space. And that's why Ziyech is so helpful, because Ziyech is the guy who just cuts in, has a look, and can play, the magical ball. Yes. But otherwise, the rest of the time, you look at the team and you're like, this team is, because they're a brilliant team, they're always going to be facing a lot of traffic defensively. But they don't actually have the right talent to work with that. Like, they don't have a lot of guys like Mount and Ziyech they've got, but Hudson-Odoi, you want to see Hudson-Odoi in space, you want to see Pulisic in space. Timo Werner certainly has to be in space, and so does Lukaku. And I mean, sometimes I wonder if maybe playing him on the right of a front three like Roberto Martinez did at Everton and getting him in that space between the left back and the left centre back, maybe that would be the way to do it, because that's such a mismatch. And if you can get him to turn with the ball...
you saw it against Aston Villa as well, when he absolutely dominated
and he did it
target.
And he did it against Arsenal.
Yes, he did.
One of the things against Arsenal, yes, he did some good hold-up play, though it was against, quite a weak...
Pablo Mari.
It was against Pablo Mari, and it was against, Ben White, who is...
It wasn't against Ben White.
I thought it was Ben White.
No, because I said it was Ben White on national TV.
Holding.
And got absolutely destroyed by Arsenal fans.
It was holding. But, it's one of those things where, in that game, yes, he was holding the ball up, but under relatively little pressure. Yeah. But what was more exciting was he would hold the ball up and turn.
Yes,
And then you're like, oh, when Lukaku turns, it's done. You haven't got a prayer. That's what's so exciting. And I don't know, I back Tuchel to work it out because he's just such a clever coach. But man, it's pretty sad.
It's a weird one with Chelsea because we dominate games, but don't dominate them like Liverpool do or Man City do, where they're just creating chance after chance after chance. If anything, it feels like you come out of a game and you think, did we even have a chance? Like, teams just sit back against us.
At times.
We are. And I think, again, part of that is due to you missing the Chilwell and missing the Reece James, because they were so critical in the way we played our football. And hopefully, if Reece James comes back, we might see a bit more from that, because Azpilicueta is a fine defender, but compared to Reece James in the attacking sense, it's just there's no comparison. So yeah, I mean, we dropping Lukaku?
I wouldn't drop him.
Temporarily, maybe.
I don't know.
I think you pick him for the right games.
Okay,
In the
okay.
Champions League, I still think he could be a huge weapon for you because you're
Yeah.
coming up against teams in the Champions
Also
League.
wanting to attack.
Yeah, who are used to having 60% possession in their domestic divisions. Those are the teams that get absolutely crushed by sides who know how to flex between possession play and counter-attack.
Yeah.
And so I think that Chelsea could actually be, again, a huge danger in the Champions League, and Lukaku particularly. But in the league right now, I mean, if everything else was working except Lukaku, then I'd say, okay, maybe keep him in and, just develop that. But I think there are a few things that aren't working in the attack at the moment. So I'd probably be like, let's get something on the board and then we can figure out where Lukaku fits into it.
Okay.
I changed formation before I changed Lukaku personally.
That's a fair enough way to look at it, I guess. We'll have to see. I mean, people's got COVID at the moment, so whether
You've
he's
got
whether
Lille
with the
coming up
guys.
as well in the Champions
Lille
League.
in the Champions
Not in a good moment. They
League.
got smashed by PSG.
That is going to be probably a piece of piss.
You know what we need as well? We need a confidence game where we do smash a team 5-0.
Who have you got this weekend?
We've got the Club World Cup against
Club World Cup, of
Palmeiras.
course,
If we lose to Palmeiras in the final, God.
Does anyone care?
Oh,
Do you care?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Because we lost last time. We've never won it. We've only been there twice.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the Club World Cup.
No, I know,
Sam.
but imagine you lose to Palmeiras and then you come back to the Premier League and you got everyone just going like, ha ha ha.
Such a nothing tournament though. I don't even know
But
who's
it,
won
no,
the
but
last
it's a
few.
nothing tournament if you win it. It
Yeah.
not if you
Brazilians
lose it.
love it.
You are right, and
Exactly.
I can see the George Wright,
Oh, God.
Palmeiras with 2 S's, like in the
And don't get me wrong,
in the WhatsApp
Palmeiras are
group.
good. Like they, from what I've heard, they look like decent opposition. But
Haven't they got
we
like a
should be beating
15-year-old
them.
up front?
Yeah, we should be beating them. Something
Hendrick,
like that, something like
Apparently he's
Um,
amazing.
Endrick Lamar.
that. That's good.
Apparently Real Madrid are already
It's
tapping
good.
him up.
Okay, then let's move on to Tottenham. We've got down here Emerson Royale. Now,
This is your specialist subject.
This is your specialist subject.
Well,
I want to hear you.
Mastermind now.
I
You've got
feel
60
that-
seconds.
I feel that, let's just start on the game first, because what a mental game.
Against
Southampton.
Southampton, yes.
Spurs.
Embarrassing.
Oh my
Embarrassing
goodness.
game.
What are they like, Spurs? What are they like? Honestly, the first goal is so Spursy. Ben Davies then falls over in the box. Then Davinson Sanchez headers this ridiculous, flat header to Emerson Royale. Emerson Royale tries to let it bounce, then run around it, gets tackled, and then it falls to Brozier. He finishes. Emerson Royale getting hammered after the game, and he's been hammered for a little while now.
People have said it's one of the worst. It might be the worst signing Tottenham have ever done.
I think it's
He's
harsh.
23.
I think it's hard.
He's
yeah, I'm
23.
kind of on the
25 million?
I feel a bit guilty because I've been bigging him up for a few years, just on the basis of, I hadn't watched that much full 90s of him, but on the highlights package of the Real Betis, he was very dangerous, very good defensive, fullback, had one of the best defensive numbers, and his defensive numbers this season have still been really good. I think it's over 6 tackles and interceptions. His pressures are the highest at Spurs. But I think when he plays, the points per game when he plays is the lowest out of any Spurs player, which doesn't bode particularly well. But what I would do is, obviously they're looking to upgrade in that area. It's a shame, but he should probably become backup next season, ease his way into the English game,
Nice.
get rid of Matt Doherty, and bring in a sort of more...
Tarek Lamptey.
That would be sick.
epic.
That would be
I
so
think
good.
Tarek Lamptey is going to go to a bigger club than Spurs, personally.
Wow.
But, I think, he's very, very different to what Hakimi is, for example, who Conte worked
Of
with
course,
last year.
of course,
He
yes.
is the complete polar opposite of him. He doesn't look particularly comfortable on the ball. He looks nervous, and he doesn't look particularly effective in the final third either.
Well, the game that summed him up, I thought, was remember against Crystal Palace, the first time they played them at Selhurst Park during
3-0.
3-0, yeah. And I think it might have even been his debut, and he played against Zaha, and he got torn to shreds.
Yeah,
it was
wasn't
Zaha
pleasant.
and someone else. Oh, God.
Was it too early for Aliso?
I can't remember. It was another person as well, but Zaha was part of it, and he just absolutely tore him to bits.
But-
Tore him to absolute
But
bits.
we've just seen Rafa Varane have a tough half season adapting to the league. I mean,
True.
I know I think he had COVID in there and he was injured and
Yeah.
stuff, and obviously United's
Tammy
defence and a manager.
Came
But
in.
better, more experienced players than Emerson have struggled changing league, changing coach.
That is a very good point.
But I do agree that in Conte's system, he would make more sense as the right side of a
Centre-back.
back three than as the right wing back, because that's just not going to be his game. But I don't know, man. I watched that Southampton game, and to be honest, it was embarrassing. But it's not his fault that there's one guy you need to close down. One guy, and the second goal they score and the winner
Son was just wandering out.
Yeah,
They were just giving them set pieces
Yeah, this-
from open play.
Exactly.
That was your point, actually.
Yeah, they was just like somebody goes up the wing, and I was just like, what's going to happen here? And then I was like, who's that guy who Walker Peters is passing back to?
Oh, it's Ward-Prowse.
And it was Ward-Prowse.
Perfect
and
ball
just
into the
like,
box.
yeah, it was just like, oh, we're just, you know what? Our team strategy is we're just going to let Steph Curry shoot as many threes as he wants, and we'll close down everyone else. And then, but then the goals, you know, like the El Yunusi header, he got lambasted for, but his man was Adams behind him, and no one tracked El Yunusi from midfield. And then the same thing happened with Adams, and I was like, is this like great defending? No. Is it a situation that's possible for him to salvage on his own? Kind of no. Yeah. So I just thought this was an embarrassing performance. I thought the first goal was much more of an issue. That's more like bad defending. But whenever anyone's like, wow, the defense of this team is really bad and it's down to one person, I always think, that's bull. Like, it's just not true. Like, teams don't defend badly because one guy's bad. They defend badly because things aren't working as a system. Yeah. And in this game, I just think like loads of stuff went wrong, and I don't know. He's halfway through a season. I think it's been exacerbated by the fact that, you know, Arsenal fans are crowing about like Tomiyasu settling relatively quickly, but he came into an established system with a defined role, which was specifically made for a player like him. Yeah, Arsenal got rid of Bellerin because he couldn't do it. Or he wasn't well suited to it, and actually Tomiyasu has quite an easy job.
Quite a limited role.
Like, yeah, it's a limited role. He basically does like some build-up stuff. He's essentially an auxiliary like centre back. He gets forward a little bit every now and then. That's genuinely what he does. So it's a really limited role. Emerson does not have that.
The right wing back role is much more.
Yeah, and he's playing under a new coach in a new league in a side that's all over the place, whose midfielders I think are. I know that everyone's like, oh, Oliver Skip. I actually quite like the guy, but like.
I like Højbjerg.
But he's not great. Like, Højbjerg is fine. Winks is bad. Like, there are a bunch of guys there who you're just like, ooh, and none of them is really outstanding defensively except for Højbjerg, who actually historically has not been much of a defender. I don't know, man. I just look at it and I think, this whatever, man. This isn't that bad.
He goes wandering as well. He goes like, he's got like that hero thing in him. He just wants to go and make a challenge or whatever. I think Bentancur will improve them.
Yes, definitely.
Massively in midfield.
He
I
has
think
already.
Kulusevski's quite a good signing, but I don't want to see him playing at right wing back.
Yeah, now
either.
Conte was just like, after they tried to get Traore or January, then he was like, you know, Kulusevski could be an interesting choice at wing back, and I was like, like, here we go.
Similarly to Chelsea, I wonder whether a change of formation wouldn't go amiss. I know Conte stuck with that formation for quite a while.
Well, he played 4 at the back against Chelsea.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not worked as well as I thought with Reguilon as well. I thought he'd be awesome as a left wing back.
Too.
Not really taken off. I don't think that third attack.
Well, he also had an absolute blinding chance against Southampton as well that he fluffs up massively.
Yeah. And it's just not. None of the pieces of their defence are working particularly well. I think Romero will improve that in the next couple of months now. He's fit as well. But it's just a bit of a mismatch at Spurs. It's a bit of a forgettable season. I still think they've got quite a good chance of fourth, though.
They've still got games in hand, haven't they?
They've got some games in hand. They've got some serious games in hand.
I don't think they do now on Arsenal. I think we're level. Like Arsenal played a game.
Maybe
they
I'm
have
thinking
one
on
game.
Chelsea,
They have one game in hand, so they play Wolves this weekend. So if they win that, they'll go back level with Arsenal. Okay. But then next weekend they've got City.
Okay.
And Arsenal don't play this weekend.
Spurs beat City quite a lot.
Spurs were also really good against Liverpool before Christmas.
So they also lucked their way into those City games.
True. But this is the biggest thing that's really I found very weird about Spurs was against Liverpool. They kind of went all out. And I will also say as well, after Liverpool, they didn't have Heung-min Son for a little while, but they went all out. They played really, really nice football, attacking, kind of counter-attacking football as well. But it worked really, really well. Then against Chelsea, they were just like, oh yeah, we're not doing this, and we're gonna not play the same kind of players. I think I can't remember what big player that was detrimental to them. But they played a completely different system, and they gave up on it. And it was I remember sitting there just thinking like, why if it's not
but you're different. Like, I mean, I would say that Liverpool, I'm not going to say they're not weak defensively, but Liverpool, the way they played the season is much more gung-ho than Chelsea or City, who are far more reserved and crush you to death. Like, Liverpool are like, you know what, if you play the 4 perfect passes you need to get through our defence, then like fair enough. And on that day, Spurs just did it again and again and again.
That is a good point.
Liverpool concede at least one one-on-one every day. Alisson is like doing serious work this season.
It is a very good point, yeah. And Van Dijk, everyone's like finally noticed that Van Dijk doesn't like to kind of come over and cover his man, does he?
He's coming back from injury.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
But even last night against Leicester, you know, like Leicester are their attack's okay, but they are quite a bad team at the moment. I mean, and they gave away that essentially a one-on-one to Maddison, you know, where like he just played in, and I was just like, Why are there so many unmarked people in the box? So like, look, I'm not saying Liverpool are bad. In fact, they're clearly the second best team in the league. But like, City and Chelsea, you would back to say no, you don't get that space against us.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, moving on to another team, or less teams, more I guess players that we've got down here as anyone else. You mentioned Leicester. They are going through the at the moment, left, right, and centre. There's probably several players you can drop. In fact, he did drop Tielemans and Sionku, played a defence of Ndidi and Amati, who they played against Liverpool previously when they beat them. Maybe that was part of his thinking, was just like, this is what worked last time. Sionku's been very, very poor this season.
Howling.
It's a shame they don't have a good backup goalkeeper as well.
Schmeichel's also been very not nowhere near the level as well this season. Do you think Sionku's performances are just due to him not having Fofana and Johnny Evans with him this season, or do you think it's a bit more than that?
I thought he was really good. Was it 2019-20? He was in the PFA Team of the Year.
Yeah. Very good.
Then he had some injury issues last year, but still by the end of the season was playing pretty well in that FA Cup run. But he's just, since the summer, even with Turkey, he was dreadful in that, hasn't recovered. Their dream partnerships probably Fofana and Evans, and then Justin maybe coming in there as well. I mean, they have had, as everyone keeps on talking about, loads of injuries, but I suppose the most pleasing element of their season this season is probably like the emergence of Dewsbury Hall. I think he's been really good in the last few months. Generally looks pretty good. I don't get Rodgers and in some of his decisions up front as well. I think Iheanacho was exceptional towards the back end of the last year. Yeah, barely got a chance this year, and even his goal and assist output when he has got a chance.
Has Daka featured much this year in the Premier League?
Not really.
No, not in the league.
Not in the league.
Again, his goal and assist numbers are really good when he did, but it's difficult because obviously their team's been built around Jamie Vardy for so long. Madison is just like up down. There's just a catalogue of things basically.
If you're dropping one player from that Leicester side, who are you dropping? Is it Vardy?
Well, Vardy's injured at the moment, so sort of escapes the drop. Sionchu is the guy that needs to stay out for a little while. Okay. But I wouldn't play Ndidi and Amati for too many more games. That's a risk as well.
Okay. Anyone that comes to mind for you? Any other names that spring to mind? Aston Villa, Danny Ings?
Well, I didn't like the Danny Ings signing, and I still don't. I don't think it made sense for them. I don't think he's in their best lineup. I don't think he's their best striker. I like Danny Ings, but given his age, given his price, I wouldn't have done it. And now I think that they are going to evolve away from him. I think it's one of those classic signings you see where 6 months later they're like, oh, actually, maybe shouldn't have done that.
Different manager as well. They've brought in two.
Sure, but I think it should always have been obvious to them that Ollie Watkins was going to be should have been that guy. Yeah. And if there were issues with that, it was their job to iron those out rather than go and buy a 28-year-old player who historically has been kind of quite injury prone, who's played in a 2 for a long time. I mean, it just didn't seem the right move to me. I don't mind him playing though. Like, he's not a guy who you're like, wow, this is somebody really hamstringing this team. I just don't think he's in their best 11. You know, the same goes for someone like Jordan Henderson. Liverpool's still going to be good when Jordan Henderson play, but when he does play, they are notably more porous. And I think that they pushed it a year too far this year. They were like, we'll re-up Milner, we'll keep Henderson, we'll run these guys out again, and it's just a year too far. And now they know in the summer, okay, we've got to evolve beyond.
So you're saying their perfect midfield is Thiago, Fabinho, and
probably Elliot. It'll probably be Elliot.
Elliot came back and did look.
Could be Elliot. Could be Elliot. Could be somebody else. I mean,
Curtis Jones. He's played there sometimes.
I like Curtis Jones, but Curtis Jones, the one thing that Curtis Jones pops in is passing. And I think if you've got Thiago in there, it's really hard for other people to get on the ball. Harvey Elliott gives you that kind of auxiliary attacker. He allows Salah to cut in more. I think that he just looks like a special player. But I'm fine with basically anyone playing there. Keita, Ox, whoever. It just, at this point, you can't have Henderson and Milner at the same time, certainly. But maybe in those guys. But I think, to some extent, some of these guys who were like, they should be dropped. It's like they are dropped when everyone's fit. People talk about who Arsenal should drop. Arsenal can't drop anyone. They've got no players.
Otherwise, Arteta's playing.
Yeah, exactly. If Arteta wants to roll out a midfield of him and Edu, then he's welcome to do it. But that's our luck.
I mean, he might be a bit better than Partey has for the past couple of games.
I think Partey's been all right.
Thinking of drops and going back to Villa, Tyrone Mings is having a really tough time.
This season in particular, I know we've never been Tyrone Mings' biggest fans.
I like him.
And I think,
about that.
And I think for England and stuff like this, like he's like so good for the dressing room, and he may be the same for Aston Villa in the dressing room, but God, it is affecting them at the back, isn't it? If you're Ezri Konsa and you're like, I've been working so hard for 90 minutes, Tyrone. Yeah. What are you doing, mate?
I know. Just lapses in concentration. But yeah, I want to apologise. Well, not apologise per se. I went quite hard on saying that I didn't think Coutinho was necessarily a good signing for Villa because I thought they should have strengthened at centre back. I didn't know how it was going to affect Buendia. I thought they should back Buendia, but Coutinho. Full credit to him, how quickly he's been back to his best, having not played that much football at all.
He was pretty good at Bayern Munich
because the Prem's a Farmers League, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, he struggled in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, true.
Now he's in the Farmers League.
We are the true Farmers League.
They did bring in Chambers, though. They've got in.
They did bring in Chambers.
Alessandro Nesta.
And also Jacob Ramsey.
Oh, what
a player!
He looks good.
His finishing is unreal.
Mate, he's because he featured a bit last season. This year he's featured a lot.
Great goal against Arsenal.
Really
great goal
good,
against Norwich. Then it was 2 the other night.
Oh my God, the goal against Arsenal was so good.
So nice.
He looks fantastic. I mean, hopefully Aston Villa will be able to keep hold of him, but I wouldn't be too surprised if someone else starts kind of shopping in there.
But Villa can resist it, man. Like Villa got enough money that they can be like, nope.
Villa have a really good future, man. I weirdly have a soft spot for Villa. I don't quite know why.
Wait till Leon Bailey gets back as well.
Yeah, okay, he's been injured for a little while, hasn't he?
They could do with a lights out centre mid as well.
And a centre back.
Like they really could, because I still
over Douglas Luiz.
I don't really rate Douglas Luiz. Like Nakamba's never really been a regular for them. Like Ramsey obviously great there, but like they do need somebody else there. And like I think if the money is on the table that people have talked about for Douglas Luiz, like 35 million, I think you have to do it and reinvest. I think you can do better.
There'll be interest in McGinn as well.
They will.
Yeah, but McGinn's one of those weird tweens, isn't he? It's like, what is he? He's not really a central midfielder.
I think there's some games he just looks.
He does. No, don't get me wrong. Yeah, 100%.
He has like 1 in 3. You're just like.
But there were like rumors to Manchester United. I just don't see a John McGinn going.
You know they'd misuse him and he'd be.
Yeah, massively. Okay, I think we've answered that question pretty well, guys at home. Let us know who you think should be dropped currently from the Premier League and from Europe as well. I guess we didn't really touch on Europe. Any quick ones? First name.
Jan Oblak's having a really poor.
He is having a poor season.
Yeah, his save percentage, I was looking the other day, it's the second worst in Europe.
Yikes.
And his expected goals saved, or post-shot expected goals is what it's called, is the third worst in Europe.
Jesus.
So he's having a real stinker, but unbelievable keeper. Has been one of the best in the world for the last 4 or 5 years. Give him, he's due a really bad season, but this is like a cataclysmically bad season.
Yeah, okay. Any other European shouts? Quick one.
No, I don't really have anybody.
I was just trying to think of Barcelona or anyone there. God.
Everyone.
Danny Alves. But Danny Alves actually all right.
Good result against Atleti.
They did. They actually played very well against Atleti. Okay, then moving on to our quick fire questions, and this one comes from @ReedyCoin. Are Everton too good to go down?
No. I don't think so. They've hired a bit of a risky manager in that we don't really know how he would do in that sort of environment, and they've got a mismatch of players and different players that were brought in under different managers. They've asked for this effectively through the chaos of their managerial appointments. Like I don't blame the players too much, but the link between Marco Silva, Sam Allardyce, Ancelotti, Rafa Benitez to Lampard. What?
Yeah, very.
And
very
the players in their squad are don't really fit anything either. Even their January window, everyone got quite excited about Dele Alli and Donny van der Beek. How is that going to work in a midfield with Doucouré in there as already? They've risked it on a Ukrainian left back who might be good, Mikolenko.
They needed to get a better right back. But for Lampard, they needed to get a better right back.
And Nathan Patterson, has a really good reputation in Scotland, but that's mainly based off a few games for Scotland, in really crucial games for them. He didn't even play that often for Rangers. So it was a risky window. And their players are really out of form. Their main striker has been injured all season, and I expect when he gets going, they'll be absolutely fine. But they're not too good to go down. It's really tight down there, and some teams are really improving. Like Norwich have got a lot better results recently. Newcastle are getting a lot better. I think Watford and Burnley will probably go down. But even Burnley looked good in the second half against Man United, so they're not too good to go down.
The only thing I think that might, is less them being too good to go down, actually more some of the teams being too bad that they had to stay up. I agree. Norwich actually, under Dean Smith, Norwich have improved massively, and if they do go down, I wouldn't be too surprised to see them come back up the season after, a bit like Fulham are looking. But yeah, I feel like it could be a Watford, Burnley, and the team that I just said. Norwich. Norwich, indeed. Too good to go down, Everton, Pat?
No. I mean, I don't think they will go down. Mm-hmm. I think 538 have got them at 25% likelihood to get relegated at the moment, so the odds are still against them going down. But things that have a 1 in 4 chance of happening, happen all the
Yeah,
time.
true,
Right?
yeah.
They happen a lot. So I think that could definitely go on. And I kind of agree with Lampard. I'm just like, is he good? Or more importantly, is he the right fit?
I feel like
that worries me because I look at that team and I think if this team tries to do a gung-ho press, it could all fall apart. Like,
Which
this
is
could
what
be really
Lampard
dangerous.
likes to do.
It is what he likes to do.
Yeah.
And I just look at stuff like, okay, I think Eddie Howe was a really bad appointment for Newcastle. I don't think they should have done that. But their January window has kind of made it okay and like has made it work and given them a really good shot at staying up. But I just think you look at Everton and, you know, they basically let Rafa Benitez push Dean out the door and then got rid of Rafa Benitez a couple of weeks later. And it's like, I just look at them and
There's no thinking.
I think they could have rivaled Newcastle for Bruno Guimaraes. Like that would have been a really big get for them. And I still look at them and I think, how do we see a path to a solid team here? I can see how they're a dangerous team, but what I can't see is how they're a team that's difficult to beat right now, and I'm not sure Lampard improves that
I
situation.
think Yerry Mina went off injured as well.
Yeah.
I think Demarai Gray went off injured against Newcastle.
Which isn't pretty. I mean, I guess the thing with in terms of Bruno's like that financially they're a bit of a mess at the moment in terms of being able to buy any players. Yet they did go and spend £25 million on a left back that no one quite knows of. Who again, maybe he does turn out to be a superstar, and we'll all be surprised.
They put him on free kicks, which apparently he didn't do in Ukraine at all.
Because they lost because the only guy that was taking free kicks was Digne. Like
They only have one left footer in the team.
I don't know. No, and Townsend I suppose could take them. I don't know.
honestly, man, like I remember growing up thinking like football clubs, they earn so much money, they must be so smart with the way they do things,
No,
and just like they're all
absolute idiots.
stupid. Okay, except for Chelsea.
No, I do kind of agree with that because when I was a kid, I think I broke my big toe on my right foot. Don't know, never got it checked out. Was playing football barefoot, and so for the next 2
chance.
months, I carried on playing football, but I just played left-footed. And now, I mean, like I'm not good at football, but my left foot and my right foot, there's no difference between them. And I think if I could do that in a couple of months with literally zero talent at football, why is it that clubs can't like develop stuff like that for their players? Just be like, you just play with your right foot for like 2 months, and you'll get good. Like in the academy, like it just seems like they could do things like that. But instead, it's like they go through FIFA and they're like, who's left-footed? Right, you're on in swinging corners. Right. Like it just feels like people are just winging it all the time.
It does. Honestly, it feels like half of football is just about winging it and seeing what
No
happens.
more than at Everton.
Exactly,
Yeah, no
exactly. Okay, this one comes from @Aaron the Pokemon. Greatest managerial
Pokemon.
achievements ever. We've got some takes here. Ranieri, obviously, with Leicester. Conte taking Chelsea from 10th to 1st. Mourinho's Champions League win with Porto. The three-peat by Zinedine Zidane. Wayne Rooney, possibly with Derby at the moment. It said just Rooney there, and I was like, just Rooney in general. Just getting him to be a good player for it was a good
My
manager.
favourite is Ranieri, but is it the greatest achievement ever?
From Leicester.
It was really cool, but their points I mean,
And I guess the
their
rest of the
points
league
tally- and
was
the rest of
bad.
the league was really bad for those few years. Actually,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
a really bad time for the Premier League, and everyone was still saying, "Oh, the Premier League's the best in the world." It really wasn't at that time. It wasn't anywhere near to it. And yeah, that achievement was awesome. So I'm going to go with that. But
Safe bet.
yeah, I also think the Invincible season was pretty cool. I know Arsenal fans bang on about it far too much, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, to go
never
unbeaten
been
in the league
repeated.
is
And I
very,
don't
very
think
impressive.
It probably will be.
And the best bit about it was Wenger saying, like he said the season before, he was like, we could go unbeaten this season. Arsenal didn't, and everyone was just like, oh. And then the next season he was like, I really think we could do it. I think we could go unbeaten. And again, everyone was like, we said that last season, like you f***ing idiot. And then we went unbeaten, and it was just like, that's cool.
Some
like,
of the results as well.
That's the managerial equivalent of like the
Mic drop.
what is it called? They call it like the called shot in baseball. I think it was like Babe Ruth literally pointed to where he was going to hit it and then hit a home run there. And it's like one of the great moments in like baseball history. That is what Wenger did, managerially speaking.
Indeed. I'm just trying to think if there's any Greece, Euros, not too bad.
That, I mean,
fun, but
that
came out of
was
there.
so boring.
Yeah, very,
But
very
yeah, that
true.
was
Any
pretty
surprise
cool.
World Cup winners coming to
Not
mind?
massively.
None that I can
The
remember in my
Centurions in the
lifetime.
Premier League is also quite an achievement.
Yeah. I mean, what Pep Guardiola's whole managerial career is
Yeah.
quite an achievement, essentially changing the game of football for the better. If I'm being quite
I wonder
honest.
when we'll see the next English treble winner as well. But I don't think that team was as good as it sometimes gets credit for.
Very true. Very, very true. Okay, this one from Only One Chad. Is ASM Alan St. Maximan the most exciting / fun player to watch in the league? It's a good shout. It's a good shout.
isn't it?
He is
electric to watch.
He is. And Newcastle in general actually a little bit. It's a fun game to watch because it either goes catastrophically bad or there's a surprise U-turn.
I'm trying to think of other fun players. I really
Bernardo
enjoy
Silva.
watching-
I
Bernardo
love
Silva's
watching
great.
Bernardo Silva.
I think Kovacic is really fun to watch. I enjoy watching Kovacic.
Can't shoot, save his life, but apart from a
Exactly.
worldie. Apart from he only scores worldies. He
Yeah.
only scores worldies. There's one against Inter Milan and one against Valencia that he scored that were brilliant as well.
Luis Diaz looks like he's going to be very fun to watch. I was watching the highlights of his game against Leicester yesterday. He looks electric and a player that I hadn't watched a lot of at Porto. So
Indeed.
I'm intrigued to see how it goes.
No one's. I mean, before
Who's your funnest player to watch? Saka?
for me, it was Eden Hazard. Before.
What, just Arsenal?
Yeah.
Yes, and Martinelli. Like those are the guys who like get me out of my seat. I'm just because there was a moment yesterday. I don't know if you've seen it. That you should
the red
try.
card?
No, that was but you should try. That was entertaining.
It was
But you
entertaining.
should try and find this clip online where Arsenal are playing out the back. They're getting pressed. They play it all the way through. Saka like beats a couple of guys and ends up like creating a decent chance for Lacazette. And we
Oh,
just
is that the 1-2 and then it goes
so
across?
good,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was just like, he just plays like a grown up, and he always has played like a grown up. Like he plays really intelligently, but intelligent play is not always necessarily the most fun. I think Alan Saint-Maximin, one of the things I enjoy about him is he kind of plays like
He's making it up.
he knows he's much better than all his teammates. So he's not always doing like the sensible thing. He's doing like the hilarious thing. And also he just seems like a kind of great guy.
Yeah,
so
on Twitter he's good fun.
It's
He's
really
good
fun to watch.
Well, he always takes the piss out of Sunderland fans, so I'm not actually
Maybe
that
not for
keen
you.
on him.
Maybe not for you. Okay, let's move on to a personal question then. This one comes from Siva Akil. How well are you sticking to your New Year's resolutions?
Well, mine was to stop biting my nails, and I haven't stopped at all. I bought putty to
Is that the one that
use
makes them-
when I watch TV, because that's what I do.
Oh,
it's just like a
bite my
habit
nails
then.
when I watch TV.
Okay.
And I watch a lot of TV. Well, particularly during the footy. So yeah, I need to get better at that.
Okay, there's a thing that you can put on them where, like, if you bite them, it tastes
Like, I
awful.
should do it like Marmite or something like that. Hey, Marmite. Yeah.
I mean, your nails will look awful. But what were your New Year's resolutions?
I didn't really have one, but I suppose I needed to get back on the horse, like fitness wise, because like it's really difficult when you have a baby and you're doing
Of course.
multiple job
I'm not
things.
surprised.
And like, but it's I don't know, I've been off and on with it. It's one of those things where there are some days where the only way I could go to the gym is get up at 6 and I wake up and I'm like, no.
God, yeah, I've
This
had
is not
them.
happening.
I've had them a few. I'm not really one for New Year resolution because I'm always just like, well, if I want to do something, I'll do it. But I won't. I kind of went into this year with two things where I was like, I want to stop like complaining about things that I've been complaining about for the past few years or getting annoyed by or whatever.
That's a good one.
Which I've partially done. Like I still sometimes get annoyed by some. And then fitness. And so far I'm enjoying it. Like I'm doing not too bad. Enjoying
Love it.
running. So if you see me running around West London, don't stop me.
Chelsea
because I can't
specifically.
talk. Imperial. Okay, stop there. Anyway, I'm just trying to think any other. Yeah, that's it. My personal question, guys. How are things? How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Zach. Yeah.
How's life?
It's good
Away
to-
from
good
work.
to share.
Away from work.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
good. I'm looking forward to a holiday. I'm going, as I
Good,
said at the
that's
top of the show,
nice.
going to Dublin. Haven't been away in ages, so I'm
How long are you in
looking
Dublin
forward to
for?
a break. Saturday to Wednesday.
Oh.
And which day are you going to propose while you're there?
No plans.
Of course not.
Imagine if
Give
I
me the
revealed
wheel.
on
They call it
Sunday
Black
Give me
Rock
the
Night.
give me the
Here it is.
That'd be amazing. That'd be great content. This only goes out on Sunday, so it's fine.
Got to do
Grace
it.
does
Got
not
to do it
watch
on the
Sunday
Saturday.
vibes as well.
Exactly, perfect. You can say anything. Then.
How are you,
Maybe
Pat?
one day.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm tired. I'm very, very busy at the moment. And having a baby is quite a big job,
I'm
it
not
turns
surprised.
out.
How old is she now?
She's 9 months.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a big girly. And she was very, very sad yesterday, cried all day yesterday, which is really unusual for her. And then this morning, though, she now claps.
Oh.
So I say, clap, 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 and she goes... Like, it's like this tiny little...
Oh, she like, hits her part, like the bottom of her
it's
hand.
so cute. And also, if I say, no, 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 she goes... like this at me, so it's pretty mad. She's honestly, she's like... Basically... If you don't like that many people, I really recommend having children because I've gone from liking kind of one person, my wife, to liking 2 people. And Coco, yeah, you're fine. And, but Coco is like the funniest person I've ever met. She makes me laugh every day because she just does like ridiculous things, or sometimes she lies on her back and she holds her feet and she claps with those, and she's honestly a magical little girl.
Oh, that's amazing. Well then, guys, moving on from Coco, who's a magical girl, to a magical product you can get. Make sure get using the link in the description. Go to Manscaped and use the code FootballDaily20 to get 20% off and
Might
free
help you
shipping.
have your own children.
Indeed, if you would like your own child, Manscaped can help you. Okay, guys, anything to throw to? Anything? What do we do?
Yes, why don't you go to Euro Football Daily and check out the Football Pyramid. Season 2 has kicked off. It was Oba versus Pat this week. It was a good clash.
Good to hear, good to hear. Make sure you check that out. Enjoy yourself. Have a good weekend, lads. Always go about life with a smile. I don't know what I'm doing. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye.